Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan Battle video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the latest World Tournament and discussing team builds alongside as well anything that has been updated or new that's been added into this latest World Tournament. So this is the 45th World Tournament that has come to Dbz Dokkan Battle Global. With it we have received 4 new SSR EZAs, 3 of them being the general EZAs, 1 being a World Tournament EZA, and alongside that we've obviously also received a new revamp to the event itself, or refresh I should say, with the ability to re-earn rewards from the last one. So the big things nowadays is obviously EZAs. I will possibly do a video about which SSR units you should consider EZAing, just in terms of the World Tournament units. I do think there's a couple of interesting options to prioritize, obviously outside of the LR unit. Now, in terms of pretty much everything else, it's relatively straightforward. There are some changes to the best team that you should consider running, and we'll discuss those when we get to the team build section. For those of you who don't know, there are plenty missions for the World Tournament. However, any stamina based missions are going to be missions you're not going to be able to complete if you only do World Tournaments. World Tournaments, although they use stamina, don't count towards stage completions, so you need to make sure you do those as well. But that's not everything. Obviously a big thing is your ranking, and your ranking determines not only some of your rewards, but it also actually determines how many Masters medals you now get, which is important because you need these medals to EZA LR World Tournament units, so it's pretty important, along with also the Masters marks which you need to EZA World Tournament units. So I'll leave a link in the top right hand corner to the video about how these work, so you have a better idea. I covered them when they first came out with the last World Tournament. You can get quite a few from the missions, so it's important to obviously focus and do those. And beyond that, there's really nothing else more to say. I think that kind of covers the gist of basically everything you are, essentially doing. So you shouldn't be, curious about that. So now the number one thing is what teams are going to be the most effective, what teams are going to be great from a free-to-play perspective, and what teams are going to be great from a summonable perspective. And there's a lot of options. If we take a look at all of the teams, there's been slight changes to all of them, and we'll take a look at those now. But remember, there are 3 ticket banners that you can look at, the being the guaranteed SSR banner, the World Tournament SSR banner, and of course as well being the World Tournament SSR banner. So it's important to always take on the highest difficulty. I'll also showcase my items that I will suggest that you use, but in general it's very, very, very important to take a look at the team builds. Now, the previous best friend to take was the strength LR Broly, or the physical LR Broly from the DBS movie. However, now there has been a slight change, and I believe Int Demon King Piccolo is by far and away the best unit to take. This is because his active skill essentially enables you to, well, pretty much overtly function and remove a fight with relative ease, as well as being super quick to use and saving you a lot of time. So what I can suggest, at least to a certain extent, is basically that you consider using Demon King Piccolo as your priority friend lead. Now, if you have Demon King Piccolo, obviously that makes your life a lot easier, and you can adjust these team builds accordingly. But if you're someone like me, you're going to want to prioritize accommodating this build. The free-to-play build does this pretty easily. However, the super build that I've shown in previous videos does not really accommodate this to a significant extent, because Goku can only lead superclass units, and losing out on using Demon King Piccolo as your friend lead is far too big a deal, at least I think, than it's worth. So I would highly suggest that you basically don't use this super team. You can as a last resort if you are struggling. However, I just don't think it's a team you're going to want to focus on. It just loses out that ability to use the best unit in the game, and I think that's now too much of an issue. The next team is really solid. Although you lose the ability to not use Demon King Piccolo, you still can use Broly, which is a more than fine compromise. So it's definitely one that is well suited to performing and taking on teams, and just using Broly, who's obviously a very solid unit. So that's at least a solid enough replacement. Of course, beyond that, there's not too much else major. The best team is one that's led by Demon King Piccolo. If you use that team, you're going to have to drop the strength a la Broly, but the rest of the team can remain the same. However, obviously, if you just use an extreme lead and rather place Demon King Piccolo in your team, then you only really have to replace Raditz, which isn't so bad. So I would say overall, this is definitely the best team in terms of functionality, and it's the one I find to be the easiest to use and performs the best. Now, in terms of items, I suggest you stick with the usual items, those of course being the Emperor Pilaf, the Ghost Usher, the Baba, and the King Yemma. You can use Ghost Ushers to just skip any fight that basically makes you nervous. You can use the Emperor Pilaf and the Baba to turn them into just basic normal attacks, and then of course you can use the King Yemma as a 50% damage reduction to reduce the damage. I usually use the King Yemma and the Emperor Pilaf or Baba in combination, and then I use just a Ghost Usher when I'm feeling very lazy. Of course, if you have Jocko in your team, it's going to be better for you, because of course with Jocko in your team, you basically have a automatic stun, which will proc every now and then. Now I'm going to show you guys the big reason why good old Demon King Piccolo is the best, and this is mainly going to be because of the fact that his active skill, as you can see, cuts down a huge amount of time, and this is something that's very crucial towards making the runs go incredibly fast and super duper efficient. And if you have two of them and you have them in different rotations, then you can finish stages very easily, because especially if you cancel out the animation time, it cuts out the big portion of getting orbs and things like that. So it's a very crucial and fundamental element when it comes into assessing just how well the team functions. So I would say, at least from my perspective, that this is obviously definitely the best working result and best functioning team. And if you prioritize having him as your friend lead, then you'll have just a good time in general, without really any huge problems or issues. But with that being said, that is basically everything you need to know. Obviously, see you guys next time. Bye.